You're nothing but lies.
It's really a joke.
Runner with weak alibis. Smack, runner, your game is through. Smack, runner, I'm talking to you.
Places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep that frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell. It's Wednesday, October 24th, 2018. And today we're following a couple of big stories. Both of them have to do with hatred. And I'd like to remind everybody that what Nietzsche said long ago is very true. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not himself become a monster. Because when you gaze into the abyss, eventually the abyss will gaze back at you. And tensions are high. Emotions are inflamed. And these two stories that we're going to cover today. First, the series of bombs that were sent to top Democrats all over the country. And this illegal alien invasion that's about to reach our southern border. Well, we'll have people pretty excited and hyped up. And I'd like to remind you to think logically. Don't think with your emotions. Because as the Democrats have learned over the past 2 years since Donald Trump was elected to office, emotions do not win an argument. And right now we're still in the argument stage, and I'd like to keep it like that. But first, yesterday the Marine Corps remembered another act of hatred from 35 years ago, when the lives of 241 Marines, sailors, and soldiers were snuffed out on a quiet Sunday morning by Iranian-sponsored Hezbollah terrorists in Beirut, Lebanon. The Marine Corps held a ceremony yesterday to celebrate the lives of those Marines. And I think we should take a look back and remember those brave heroes who were murdered in their sleep.
We have a bulletin from the Pentagon on the explosion in Beirut at the U.S. Marines barracks. The Pentagon now estimates that 120, possibly more, 120 American Marines have been killed. 45 of the more critically wounded have been evacuated. Others remain to be evacuated later. Again, 120 at least, by the Pentagon's estimate, killed when a truck loaded with explosives broke through a gate into the lobby of a building in Beirut occupied by Marines, still asleep, most of them, at 6:20 a.m. their time this morning.
The Marines said a speeding pickup truck crashed through barriers and exploded in the lobby of the headquarters building where Marines were sleeping. The blast opened a crater 30 feet deep and 40 feet across, causing the four-story structure to collapse, killing, trapping, and injuring those inside.
God bless each and every one of those brave warriors, and may God's vengeance rain down upon those responsible for that cowardly act. Well, in today's news, another cowardly act. Pipe bombs were mailed to the top Democrats, and all around the country in several different states. And we're going to take a look at the details in that in just a minute. But first, I'd like to go to President Donald Trump, see what he had to say early this afternoon.
I'd like to begin today's remarks by providing an update on the suspicious packages and devices mailed to current and former high-ranking government officials. The safety of the American people is my highest and absolute priority. I have just concluded a briefing with the FBI, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and the U.S. Secret Service. As we speak, the packages are being inspected by top explosive experts, and a major federal investigation is now underway. The full weight of our government is being deployed to conduct this investigation and bring those responsible for these despicable acts to justice. We will spare no resources or expense in this effort. And I just want to tell you that in these times, we have to unify. We have to come together and send one very clear, strong, unmistakable message that acts or threats of political violence of any kind have no place in the United States of America. It's a very bipartisan statement. I can tell you from both sides. We both agree on that. This egregious conduct is abhorrent to everything we hold dear and sacred as Americans. My administration will provide additional updates as they become available, and I just want to thank everybody for their understanding. We're extremely angry, upset, unhappy about what we witnessed this morning, and we will get to the bottom of it.
And of course, the Democrats wasted no time in firing back their BS. In a joint statement, Senate and House Minority Leaders Schumer and Pelosi say that President Trump's comments today on the wave of pipe bomb packages ring hollow until he reverses his statements that condone acts of violence. Oh, gee. You mean statements condoning acts of violence like these?
You see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd, and you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome. The people are going to turn on them, they're going to protest, they're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you.
Not in D.C., not in the U.S., not in D.C., not in the U.S., not in D.C., not in the U.S.
I know that this is a time of great fear and uncertainty for so many people. I know it's a time of concern for people who see our rights being assailed, being trampled on, and even being rolled back. I know that this is difficult, but I remind you that this has never been easy. We have always had to work to move this country forward to achieve the great ideals of our founding fathers. And it has been people, individuals who have banded together, ordinary people who simply saw what needed to be done and came together and supported those ideals, who have made the difference. They've marched, they've bled. Yes, some of them have died. This is hard. Every good thing is. We have done this before, we can do this again.
They have used the power that they have gotten for all the wrong things. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to the special interests. It is time for us as Democrats to be as tough as they are, to be as dedicated as they are, to be as committed as they are. Michelle always says, Michelle Obama, I love her, you know, she and my wife like really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about. We're proud as hell to be Democrats. We're willing to fight for the ideals of the Democratic Party. We're proud of our history. We're proud of our present, and we're proud of the future that we can create for this country. And we're not in this just to make a statement. We're in this to win.
Yes. Before I end, that's my call to action here. Please don't just come here today and then go home. Go to the Hill today. Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and/or the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength.
I was there at the ball field when Stephen Scalise almost died from a very, very angry, violent man who was incited really by rhetoric on the left. And this hasn't been reported enough. When he came onto the field with a semi-automatic weapon, firing probably close to 200 shots at us, shooting 5 people and almost killing Steve Scalise, he was yelling, "This is for health care." He also had a list of conservative legislators, Republicans in his pocket that he was willing to kill. So what happens when Democrats say get up in their face, they need to realize that there are a lot of unstable people out there. There are people with anger issues. There are people that are prone to violence. They might even live next door to you. You don't know where these people are. But what we shouldn't do is incite people to violence. But getting up in someone's face really kind of does sound like you want them to get nose to nose with them. And the problem is rational people might back down. But what's going to happen when the guy comes with a gun to a rally or comes with a knife to a rally? There is going to be an assassination if this doesn't ratchet down, and I think the other side needs to really calm the rhetoric down.
Well, friends, the Republicans are not the party of violence. All the violence that we've seen over the last 2 years since Donald Trump's election has come from Democrats, from offices being burned, random people wearing MAGA hats attacked in the streets, members of Trump's administration being harassed and bullied when they go out to movie theaters or restaurants, and even a shooting by a Bernie bro who targeted Republican representatives at a baseball game, nearly killing Steve Scalise. And I don't put it past the Democrats, not for one solitary second, to make this a false flag, that they have done this to themselves, because they've lost every other thing that they've tried to do. And they have failed in every attempt that they have made to diminish or derail the presidency of Donald Trump. And now they're trying to gin up sympathy for themselves by mailing themselves bombs, if you can call them bombs. We're going to get to that in just a second. But you don't have to be a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist to believe this. Even a former FBI agent believes it. This is former FBI agent Chris SWECKER.
Right. I mean, we're starting to see a pattern. We are already seeing a little bit of a pattern. We have unexploded devices that were screened by some very effective mail screening centers, and it highlights the effectiveness of these mail screening centers that have come into being since 9/11. But we've got a forensic bonanza. There'll be plenty of evidence that'll be exploited by the FBI's evidence response teams on all of these sites. I suspect the Soros, if it is in fact related, the Soros explosive device is going to be further along since it was delivered earlier, probably because it was not screened. But of course, they're going to be looking at this as a potential terrorist motive, whether it's on one side or the other. And as you correctly pointed out earlier, this doesn't necessarily mean that someone is espousing some sort of conservative ideology and targeting Democrats. It could be someone who's trying to get the Democratic vote out and incur sympathy. So it could go either way.
Well, things didn't exactly follow standard operating procedure today. Instead of calling the bomb squad right away and running, some CNN employee took pictures of the device that was mailed to CNN headquarters in New York and addressed to former CIA Director John Brennan. CNN put out this photograph right away. It's very interesting. And the internet noticed right away that there were a lot of things wrong with it. Why don't we start by taking a look at the postage stamps that were on this package. If you'll notice, they're not canceled. So they didn't go through the United States Postal Service as was originally claimed. It's got a nice little ISIS sticker on the side. and what looks to be possibly a photograph of John Brennan. Okay, now we're going to go over the some other inconsistencies with this story. Okay, now this started the other day when an explosive device was sent to George Soros at his home in New York, which curiously is just a couple of miles away from where Hillary Clinton lives. Okay, now reports from the mainstream media say that one of Soros's employees picked this up out of the mailbox and opened the package and then took it to the woods where it wouldn't hurt anybody. That's interesting to note that not one of these 7 devices detonated. Pipe bombs are supposed to detonate when you open them up. And Hillary Clinton got one too. It was actually intercepted by the Secret Service. But these houses are supposed to be under 24-hour surveillance. They've got cameras everywhere. Okay, so they're going to know who sent those. I don't even want to call them bombs. It's the size of a roll of quarters, that bomb, if you notice it next to the Clorox bottle. And one bomb expert on Twitter, who used to be in explosive ordnance disposal in the Army, pointed out several inconsistencies with the manufacture of these bombs. Let's check this out. Tom Sauer is president and founder of the MacArthur Group, a Navy EOD veteran and a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, class of 2006. He's a former bomb disposal expert, and he notes that proper bombs do not have leads tied into both ends. He says you can find timers and remote control receivers way smaller than whatever the white box is. That thing just looks silly, he says. Hoax devices are far more common than real ones, in which case we should ask ourselves, what are the motives of the bomber and who benefits? Go ahead, think deeply and critically. Bottom line, whoever made it wanted it to be painfully obvious to anyone and everyone that it's a bomb. It's the same as railroad flares tied up with a timer. And one fellow noted, so basically we're looking for Wile E. Coyote. And Tom replies, there's still more real than CNN. There were a total of 7 of these bombs that had been mailed out in the last couple of days. First one went to George Soros, and today the Clintons got one. Barack Obama got one in Washington, D.C. CNN got one at their offices in New York addressed to John Brennan. Debbie Wasserman Schultz got one in her Florida office. Governor Andrew Cuomo got one in his New York office. Eric Holder got one at Debbie Wasserman Schultz's office. So that's 2 for her. And Maxine Waters got one. The Capitol Police are investigating that one. But as soon as the internet noticed, and I'm telling you folks, this exploded all over the internet. As soon as it was noticed that the postage had no cancellation marks on them, and that even if it had been sent through postal service, it wouldn't have gone because it had insufficient postage. The narrative changed, okay, to say that they were hand delivered. So again, the question is brought, if they were hand delivered, how did the bomber get there? And in at least 3 separate states at the same time. Did he have superpowers? Was he wearing a cape of any kind? Now, you know that cameras at all these places, they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. And they would have, if they had been brought by a courier, then the courier would have been picked up on camera dropping off that package. And they'll find out who that courier is, and they'll find out where he picked up those packages, who gave them to him, and then that person will be caught, okay? Then it's game over. I am confident that it was not a Republican that did this, but a Democrat who is looking for sympathy and trying to drive voters to the polls for the Democrats because their blue wave has become a puddle, something that not even the tidy bowl man could navigate. Okay, so at the moment, the official story is that these packages were hand-delivered by a courier and not mailed. So the original reporting that the packages had been intercepted by the Secret Service or the United States Postal Service can't be accurate. They just can't be. Most of these targets, all of them actually, were vocal opponents of Donald Trump and have been for the last 2 years. The very ones that have been ginning up violence against Republicans in general. And right after this happened, a mega bomber, MAGA bomber, hashtag started appearing on Twitter. This is a coordinated effort by the Democratic Party to promote a false flag. They have literally blown themselves up with this one, my friends. And I believe that in the end, with the United States Secret Service and the FBI and every other law enforcement agency in the country looking into this, the true perpetrators will be found, and they will be punished. From my lips to God's ears. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the migrant invasion on our southern border.
I'm Pete Santilli, and you're watching The Truth is Viral.
Do not click away. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
President Trump says the choice is clear. Conservative warrior John James for Senate. Trump says John James is, quote, strong on crime and borders and loves our military. Strong on veterans and the Second Amendment. President Trump says John James is a star and gives James his full endorsement.
I'm John James. I hate politics, but I love this country. And I approve this message because America is worth fighting for.
John James, President Trump's choice for Senate.
Whether we like it or not, radical Islamists are bringing the fight to us, right here in the United States. As Americans, we have the right and the duty to protect our friends and our family from Islamic terrorism. We don't negotiate with terrorists, we just kill them. Real Americans, the young, the old, men, women, even the Amish, stand ready to protect the American homeland from Islamic terrorism. And more, they're turning to the most terrifying force multiplier that the world has ever seen. It's called silver bullet gun oil. This is made from 13% pig fat, and it is guaranteed to send an Islamic terrorist straight to hell. In 1902, Black Jack Pershing, famous U.S. Army general, realized the effectiveness of this psychological weapon on Islamic terrorism. He rounded up 50 Islamic terrorists, and he tied 49 of them to stakes. And as they stood there awaiting their death, he brought in a few pigs and put them, slaughtered them in a pit in front of these hostages. Boy, they were terrified, and then they got shot, every single one of them. They were buried in the pit and covered with the pig's entrails. The 50th terrorist was let go so that he could go tell the rest of his buddies what he'd seen. And for the next 42 years, there was not a single incident of Islamic terrorism anywhere in the world. That is how effective this weapon is. Since 2004, silver bullet gun oil has been used by members of the United States Marine Infantry, Marine Recon, U.S. Marine Scout Snipers, Navy SEALs, regular Army, Army Rangers, Green Berets, Reserve, and National Guard units deployed or being deployed to the Middle East theater of operations. Silver bullet gun oil is used by M1 Abrams tank platoons. Apache and Cobra gunships use silver bullet in their miniguns. Many of Allah's holy warriors have been greatly disappointed upon realizing that they did not pass go and they did not collect 72 virgins. A number of air marshals use silver bullet gun oil in their in-flight weaponry, It's been distributed to members of police tactical teams throughout the United States from coast to coast, including members of my local law enforcement community. Oh yeah, buddy. I count on them to protect me from these Islamic terrorists. I can't keep my head on a swivel 24 hours a day. So, yeah, they're the first ones that I gave a bottle of silver bullet gun oil to. The psychological impact of silver bullet gun oil might very well prevent many attacks on American citizens in the U.S. Islamic terrorists don't care about dying, folks. In fact, they welcome the idea. So we have to take that incentive away from them by guaranteeing them an afterlife in hell.
Yes, folks, silver bullet gun oil is actually a very good product. I use it myself. And what amazed me is that last year, we have a hunting camp every year. And a bunch of us get together and go out there and shoot guns, blow stuff up. We have a real good time. Of course, we use tannerite. It's legal. Okay. But when everybody else's gun was jamming because it was -2 degrees below zero, my silver bullet gun oil worked fine. To order your bottle of silver bullet gun oil, send a check or money order for $24.95 to Post Office Box 91, Alpena, Michigan 49707. Or you can use a credit card at www.paypal.me/thetruthisviral. And silver bullet gun oil is a great product. I recommend it. I use it, and it can be yours just by sending $24.95 to Post Office Box 91 in Alpena, Michigan. The second half of this hour, we're going to talk about the militia that's been called out to our southern border to repel this illegal alien army that's numbering up to 10,000 strong. Some reports have it up to 14,000. And I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea. But first, I'd like to remind everybody that in the Super Chats on my YouTube channel or on Pete's, you can ask a question, and I will answer it at the end of the show. Cindy Delk just said that she saw a video, she says, I think from you, showing armed men crossing ahead of this caravan, thinking they might be setting up for their buddies to arrive. And that's exactly what I think. And I'm going to show you that video in just a minute. But before I do, I'd like to remind everybody that this Friday night, from 9 p.m. until 10 p.m., we're going to have a rally for John James, who is a Senate candidate here in Michigan at the GOP headquarters here in Alpena. So I want you to come down there and make sure you're in by 8:45. It's going to be packed. I'll be broadcasting live from the rally until it's over with, and we're going to be speaking with John James, the man himself, and General Jack Bergman, who is Michigan 1st District Congressman, who last week called for the names of 264 Republican and Democrat senators and representatives, basically everybody in Congress that has committed sexual assault or discrimination, and then silenced their victims by making them sign a non-disclosure agreement if they wanted to get paid. And they got paid, by the way, out of our tax dollars to the tune of $17 million since 1997. Almost $1 million last fiscal year alone. So General Bergman has joined me in a campaign that we call We Want Names. And I'd like you to go to the blog at bobpowell.blogspot.com and find that story and click the petition at the bottom of it and sign it, because it's addressed to the members of the ethics committees on both the Republican and Democratic side in the House and the Senate. Okay, we need to help General Bergman get his message out there, and we're going to do really well. So this illegal alien train, well, I think you've seen that it's not all women and children. They're fleeing persecution. It's not even close. About 80%, according to Sarah Carter, who's been down there with the Caravan, and other news reporters, specifically from Fox News, have noted that 80% are military age males between the ages of 17 and 35. So these are not good, folks. And I'm going to show you some video of them right now. They're crossing our border with impunity, dressed in military fatigues, some of them carrying rifles. Suggested Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren versus Donald Trump. Okay, I'm going to have to check that one out. That looks like it'll be fun. But yeah, these guys are paramilitary, at least, cartel possibly. Let me find this one segment. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the guys with the rifles. You'll notice an AK on that horse. There's a guy holding a rifle just getting down off the fence right there. He's got a bulletproof vest on. There's an AK on that horse. The white horse. These are violent people. And they are literally streaming across our border already. That's not even counting this illegal alien army that's coming up through Mexico after having passed through Honduras and Guatemala. These are bad dudes. And I can absolutely understand the feelings of patriots and 3%ers wanting to defend our country. But it's my job to bring a little, what do I want to call it? I just want you guys to stand down. I say that again for everyone that thinks that they're going to go down to the border and join militia and repel this alien invasion. I want you to stand down. And I'm going to tell you why right now. And I'm going to tell you from my perspective as a forward deployed combat Marine. I was never in combat, but I was there with my 81 millimeter mortar, ready to take it to whatever enemy decided to throw their common sense out the window and attack United States Marine Corps outfit. And I'm going to tell you from my perspective as an unindicted co-conspirator at the Bundy Ranch. Somebody that saw what happened at the Bundy Ranch and the following siege of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge by the Bundys. Okay, for those that don't remember, back in 2014, Cliven Bundy and his family were attacked by a rogue group from the Department or the Bureau of Land Management. Unlawfully attacked. And calls went out for patriots to come and defend these folks. They were at their home when armed BLM agents assaulted them physically, started murdering their cattle, and tearing down the infrastructure of their ranch, making it impossible for them to feed and water their livestock. Rallies were held. Sheriff's deputies from the local area from Las Vegas were there. Oath keepers were there. And patriots from all over the country descended upon the Bundy Ranch. They faced down these tyrants who were not even authorized to make arrests. They walked up to them or rode up to them on their horses peacefully. There were very few long guns. Some people had sidearms. But they were facing a heavily armed paramilitary force. And due to God's intervention, they won the day. The BLM backed off, but that was hardly the end of the story. In fact, it was just the beginning. As soon as the cattle were released, the FBI started collecting evidence that would be used in a later trial, where Cliven Bundy and his sons and several of the patriots that had come to defend them fought for their lives. Thousands of patriots stood by their side. They were at the courthouse every single day until the Bundys were freed. Finally, after Judge Gloria Navarro determined that the prosecution had lied to her as the court and had lied to the defense, and it was eventually dismissed with prejudice. The prosecutors had had 3 bites at the apple so far, and they still couldn't convict the Bundys. But the Bundys had stood fast throughout this entire episode. They were determined of their innocence, and so was I. But others were not quite so lucky. My Marine brother, Jerry DeLemus, was sentenced to 7 years in prison for his participation in the Bundy Ranch, and he'd only been there for a couple of days. Todd Engel was sentenced to 14 years. Greg Burleson was sentenced to 58 years. And that's basically a life sentence. So I'm going to try to save some patriot lives right now. By telling you that you do not need to go down to the border. President Trump has this situation well in hand. Let me pull this up for you here real quick. This is off of Dennis Michael Lynch's website. Oops. Gotta pull something else up. This is why I need somebody to help me. Help me, please. On Dennis Michael Lynch's website, it says, exclusive, man claims Texans are preparing for war at the border. They're calling out the militia in order to repel this alien horde. The story reads, as a caravan of an estimated 7,000 Central American migrants, which originated from Honduras, is determinedly making its way northward, saying they are going to the United States for jobs and a better life, President Trump has declared that he will send the military to the borders to stop them from entering the countries illegally. After the caravan blazed right through both the Guatemalan border and the Mexican border, successfully bypassing all police barriers, a second caravan of approximately 1,000 people has now reportedly started out from Honduras. Concerned American citizens have voiced both concern and doubt that President Trump will be able to stop the caravan as well, and some appear to be prepared to take matters into their own hands. A Facebook post by a retired police detective in Ohio, Robert Surgener, was brought to the attention of DML News on Tuesday. Surgener writes that he has very close friends in Texas, along with two of his sons who live there, and has received reports that there's going to be a war on the southern border of our nation. Texans aren't planning. Texans are planning. This isn't just talk. The military isn't the only group that is going to organize near the border. Texans with guns. Immigrants should be more afraid of them than of the military, Surgener wrote. In a now deleted Facebook post, Surgener said, I have very close friends in Texas. Two of my sons live in West Texas. Excuse me for just 1 second here. Information from law enforcement in that state is disturbing. Other Facebook friends have posted some of the facts I'm hearing out of Texas, and it adds up to one thing. There's going to be a war on the southern border of our nation. President Donald Trump signed deployment orders for the 82nd Airborne Division of the United States Army, instructing them to deploy from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to the U.S. southern border at Mexico. In addition, the 1st Armored Division of the United States Army at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, has been given 72 hours ready standby orders to begin shipping armored vehicles to the southern border via rail. Okay, now I have to point out that I learned myself, not half an hour ago, that's not true. Let me find this. Here we go. This is from the Fayetteville Observer in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Pull that bigger. And it says that the 82nd Airborne has not deployed to the U.S. southern border and is under no orders to do so. Lieutenant Colonel Ramon Osorio, a spokesman for the division, said rumors that paratroopers had been sent to the border to stop a caravan of Central American immigrants were false. The rumors have been spread across social media in recent days and championed on some online forums. According to some accounts, President Donald Trump ordered the division and other troops to deploy on Monday. The 82nd Airborne Division, which includes approximately 18,000 soldiers at Fort Bragg, trains to deploy on short notice. Its paratroopers form the core of the nation's global response force, which is postured to respond anywhere in the world in a matter of hours. Osorio said that the division, also known as All Americans, has received no orders for a trip south. Osorio said, I am unaware of any directive that has us postured to do that. So while it might be a nice thing to think about, it hasn't happened yet. That's not to say that it hasn't, because Donald Trump has said that he will use the United States military to stop this alien army. Alien army. You know, I'm afraid that one of these days we're going to be talking about a real alien army. Okay, there's this alien invasion false flag that they're going to pull out of their butts any day. The globalists are running scared, and according to my friend, former CIA spy Jim Garrow, that is their trump card. How about that for a little play on words? When they have no more cards left to play, fake alien invasion is the way that they will try to hold on to power, but not yet. So this invasion of migrants is coming up through the southern border, led by these paramilitary forces. And they're intent on causing havoc. These are all military-aged males, folks. Not a single child or stroller in any of this footage. There may be a few in the photo ops that they take to blast on the mainstream media, but even then, they've got to find them and single them out. Because they are few and far between. Let me tell you. Let me tell you the role of militia. Okay, you've got two types of militia, according to laws. You got the regular militia, the organized militia, and the unorganized militia. Most militia groups that you see around the country, like Oath Keepers for one, or Southwestern Michigan militia, or basically any other militia that you'd care to think about, is what they call an unorganized militia. And in first place, the only person that has the authority to call up the militia for a legitimate defense is the president or the governor of that particular state. The role of the militia is to stay home and protect your friends and your family from whatever threat that might be posed to them. This is where the Bundys made their mistake. When they were in Nevada, when they were being attacked on their ranch, they called for militia to help them. And even though they hadn't been officially called up by the president or any recognized legal authority, the militia came to their defense. And even those who came there with the intention of defending innocent people, like Jerry DeLemus and Greg Burleson, Todd Engel, were persecuted and prosecuted by the federal government. What I never agreed with the Bundys on was when they occupied the bird farm at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. Because they had not been invited there. As a matter of fact, the local townsfolk and the ranchers that they had come to support told them that they would rather that they leave. But they stayed. And it ended in the death of an innocent man. Lavoy Finicum was murdered by a FBI HRT sniper who was, the whole thing was a sham. The roadblock was against policy of both the Oregon State Patrol and the FBI. It states that a dead man's roadblock like that could only be used against a fleeing felon. Lavoy Finicum wasn't a fleeing felon. Nobody in that truck was a fleeing felon. Nobody in that truck had a criminal record of any kind. The FBI violated its own policy by setting up the dead man's roadblock. And they illegally killed an American citizen. And then they covered it up. Just like Lon Horiuchi after he shot Vicki Weaver in the face on Ruby Ridge. The government had to pay $3 million to Weaver's family. But Horiuchi wasn't even disciplined. He was sent to Waco, where congressional testimony revealed that he was shooting Branch Davidians as they left their burning compound. He's now in the witness protection program. Lon Horiuchi. So, I want to impress how important this is, folks. I know you want to get down there. I know you want to get some trigger time. But I want you to stop and think about this for a second. Number one, you haven't been asked for. Not by any legitimate governmental authority. Number two, if you go down there and the military is down there, you don't have any comms to communicate with the military. You don't have any IFF friend or foe transponders to designate you as a non-combatant or a friendly. You'll be in the way. and you might get shot. And no matter how well-intentioned you are, you might end up spending the rest of your life in prison. You got no reason to go. I'm trying to save your life here. Don't destroy your family. Don't destroy your own life. And even if you do manage to get through it all, like the Bundys that were eventually found not guilty, exonerated of some supposed crime, you're going to have a lifetime of legal bills to pay. This is not our fight. Not yet. This illegal alien army is going to have to go through our military first, and then through the National Guard, and then through the state police of the respective states that are on the U.S.-Mexico border, then through the county sheriffs. Then the militia can be used lawfully and to great effect. You know, gun owners, 100 million of us, have 400 million rifles and over 8 trillion rounds of ammunition. The hunters that come here to Michigan alone during deer season constitute the third largest standing army in the world. But militia's not needed right now. And I guarantee you that 99% of the time, people that want to go down there and get some have either never served in the military or have never been in combat. Put aside all of the legal ramifications. Put aside the fact that you might be killed. Let's say you go down to the border and you catch one of these guys coming over the border with a gun, and he's pointing it at you, and you have a legitimate right to defend yourself. You pull the trigger, you pop around right in his skull. How do you think that's going to make you feel? "22 of my brothers are killing themselves every single day. Because of the things that they had to do, the things that they had to see, defending this nation." Even in self-defense, my friends, a mentally healthy individual has a hard time processing it when he takes a human life. Even those that are mentally prepared for it, like U.S. Marines, take their own life because of the horror of it all. I would spare you that. So please, take my advice and listen to what I'm saying right now. This is not the time. This is not the battle. And it's not the right battleground. You need to stay home so that you can defend your friends and family from the real threats that are out there, threats that are present every single day. What are you going to do if you're on the border and somebody attacks your family? You'd feel pretty bad, wouldn't you? Might end up being one of those 22. But Okay, we had that one super chat question from Cindy, but that's all I see. Make sure that you subscribe to The Truth is Viral, Bobby Powell, actually, on YouTube. And don't forget to ring the bell, hit the bell, too, so that you'll get notifications of our broadcasts on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights. And join me tonight, or on Monday, or on Friday, to welcome John James to Alpena. Come down and join me live, if you like. And I'll bring you on the show. And it's going to be a great time. We're going to speak with John James, the Senate candidate from Michigan. He's going to blow Debbie Stabenow right out of the water. And we'll also speak with General Jack Bergman. That's at the Alpena GOP headquarters this Friday night from 9 until 10. I guess that's all. I'm running out of time. Pete Santilli is coming up next. You do not want to miss his show. He is the most offensive man on the internet, and I love him with all my heart. He's got a great show, and you're going to really enjoy it. And I'm sure he's got more updated information on these bombs than I was able to present tonight. So that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah. I'll see you Friday night.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.